everyone, welcome back to Sticky vs. Fishing. I'm your host, Captain Kevin. We are excited to be coming back to you today and with some hot content from Legacy Armada. We hope you guys have been keeping up with things. We haven't recently, but we're going to go through the releases for Legacy Armada from Wave Zero, from the Halloween Squadrons on. So these are, to my knowledge, and I think to our knowledge, officially used in Legacy Armada, which is not the format that's going to be used for Worlds, but we'll do like a Worlds prep event podcast later with the official content. So, but we wanted to hit this stuff first. So, leading off, we're going to go through the content, and then afterward, I've got a special announcement. If you guys stick around, it might pay off. We'll see. Just hang out with us. So leading off here is Shadow Squadron from it's a TIE Phantom for the Empire. It is almost let's see, it's really similar to a normal TIE Phantom. 4 speed, 4 hull, 4 blue dice, but its battery is 1 blue, 1 red. A little bit more consistent. And then it has cloak, and then added on to that, it has screen. So for each friendly squadron the attacker is engaged with, for up to 3 dice, you can, and 3 squadrons, you can gain dodge 1, up to dodge 3. So 15 points, which is 1 more. It makes the Phantoms a little bit more survivable, and hit a little bit harder against ships, possibly, or just more consistently. So, Bodhi, what do you think about the Phantom?
I think it's kind of cool. I think that normal Phantoms are in a really weird spot. So anything to maybe help them out, I think is good.
Agreed. Up next, we have Nightmare Squadron. That is an E-Wing for the Rebels. It is going speed 4. It has 5 hull, 4 blue dice against squadrons, and instead of a red dice, it has a black dice against ships. However, it loses the bomber keyword, but it gains relay 1 instead. So it also has snipe 3 that's typical for E-Wings, and it remains at 15 points. Honey Badger, do you like this guy?
Yeah, the it's interesting for another use of relay. It's more of an anti-squad, obviously, because it's still got the snipe, but loses bomber. Um, Seems interesting. You could throw it in a couple of different lists, make it work. Especially having that relay help out in the front.
Agreed. The speed 4 relay kind of helps you position it anywhere. I'm a big fan of the consistency with the black dice bomber or non-bomber though. Up next we have Bandit Squadron. It's a Z95. It's typical for Z95, except it goes up to 9 points, and then it gains all black dice in squadron and ship attacks. So 3 black against squads, 1 black against ships, and it gains the heavy keyword and loses swarm. So, Bodhi, tell me what you think about this heavy hitter.
I think out of all of them, I'm most excited about this. It's a little niche. I kind of wish that it maintained having swarm, just to basically guarantee or almost guarantee 3 damage. But I mean, this guy will one shot ties, and if he can do that twice, like he earns his keep. Um, and I think that he's got a lot of uses, especially with like Recon, so that you can keep him around. Guarantee that he gets his shot off. Um, so yeah, I think and like the 9 cost price point, Rebels were really looking for like a good squadron that's cheap, other than just the generic Z95s, I suppose. So I'm super excited about him.
All right, up next we have Dark Squadron. That is a TIE Defender from the Empire. It is speed 5, 6 hull, typical. Same dice armaments with 2 black, 2 blue against squads and 1 black against ships. However, it loses the bomber keyword and instead gains grit and swarm for 17 points. Honey Badger, will you take this squadron if you take an Empire list?
Not. It 17 points is a lot. Or instead of taking this, you can take 2 TIE fighters. Um, I I just don't see what extra value you're getting here from the speed and the hull losing your shots. I don't like that it lost bomber because TIE defenders are bombers. Like the best bombers in the game are Defender Merrick and Defender Vader. Um, Giving it grit kind of makes it like a Merrick light, I guess. But yeah, 17 points with no defense tokens is a little steep. So I don't think it'll see uh, much play. Just generic defenders themselves don't see very much play for the same reason. They're 1 point less. They do have bomber. Um, so basically, they have the same odds of doing damage to a ship, but can also crit a ship. They just lose the grit, which I'm not too keen on grit, but
All right, that takes us out of the Halloween special. Those are all unique squadrons to the Empire and the Rebels, so again, valid within Legacy Armada. Next, we're going to go through Wave 1 release of both commanders, ships, and upgrades from Legacy, as well as some exciting titles released for all factions over here. So I'm pretty excited about those and to be able to get to those. We're going to each give a little bit of brief comment after a description on each of these. So first up is Poggle the Lesser. For the CIS, this card reads, after deploying fleets, friendly ships gain an engineering token. Friendly ships may be assigned one more command token than their command value. After you or a friendly small non-flotilla ship is declared the target of an attack, it may discard one command token to obstruct the attack for 20 points. So that's actually pretty nice. That means it's kind of like Ramadi without the added dice benefit. So it's a little bit cheaper, but you can generate obstruction and then not have obstructed shots in the counter attack, which is pretty cool. But for salvo attacks, my understanding of this card would be that, let's see, it is, I think it would still be obstructed in the counter attack because the initial attack was obstructed. So let's go with Bodhi first. What is your read on this guy?
So I don't know why, but there was just some draw to this little buggy guy. I've always just, maybe it's just the name Poggle, but like I've always just loved him as a character. I love the stupid clicky noises that he makes. And so I actually got to see, Dodie showed me like all of the Wave 1 stuff at LSO a little bit before that it actually like released. And when I saw that Poggle was coming out, I was just completely ecstatic. Um, I also just really like the art. Like he looks, and with the B2 battle droid in the background, he looks very menacing. Um, and I like the reference, like the red Death Star plan, just imagery. As for his ability, I think that him being 20 points is really good because it's going to compete with Grievous. A lot of the times, like, I'll kind of just take Grievous because he's 20 points and then throw a couple vultures in there. Even if I only get to use the ability once or twice, it's still going to be enough, to have a commander ability. If, like, the only effect on the card was all your ships start with an engineering token, I think that would honestly be fairly solid. Um, I really, really like being able to obstruct the attack. I think that the situations for that are it'll be like a little difficult maybe. I'm not 100% sure, like I haven't messed around with him yet, but um, like I feel like most of the time if you've got a lot of small ships you can set up the obstruction normally. Um, and I guess to your point, the salvo would not be obstructed. The attack is obstructed, the original attack, but the way I understand it is, the salvo you can do unobstructed because it's not like there's an obstacle there. It's just you treat the attack as obstructed. But I think that my favorite part out of all of this is friendly ships can be assigned one command value, one more token than their command value. Um, I really love the effects in this game that allow you to have extra command tokens. I love the kind of like Rube Goldberg stuff you can do, especially in this faction with like Teeks and Rune Hakhau. And there's just something that makes my brain go like a little burr when I get to move tokens around and just have a bunch of tokens hanging out, resolve multiple commands in the same turn. And I don't know, this guy really speaks to me. I'm super excited to get him on the table.
Drew, what do you think about Boggle the Lesser?
He's interesting. I've actually played a game against him, and I was playing a Gar list with some arcs, and he negated a lot of damage because he just made my arcs obstructed, and so they were only throwing one blue die instead of two. And you can do that against anybody, any squadrons. If they're a single die squadron, then it just cancels the attack. If you're going against hyenas, just cancels the attack. So they don't even get their AI benefit. So he's situationally very strong. He's not overpowered or you can't really tech with him too much to boost his ability. So that part's good. So I'm glad he's only 20 points. But yeah, if you're flying a list that relies on your squadrons to do the majority of the damage, especially if you don't have a large alpha strike capability, like if you're flying, Peltas with Gar or like GR-75s with Rebels, then in between your squadron activations, you get to activate and then dish out like parts resupply or munitions resupply, or take it as take your dial as a token or whatever to keep obstructing your shots.
That is a good point. The obstruction of squadrons or bombers in particular. I imagine stacking this on top of PDICs is pretty strong, as well as there is no limit to the number of times you can do this during a turn. So if you took this on a large, you could do it hypothetically. What does it say?
It's only small non-flotilla ships,
Oh,
so
okay,
you can only really do it. Well, you can only do it with hard cells and the pinnaces that we'll talk about in a minute.
I see. Hopefully, some new other ships in the future. But yeah, oh, wow, it tells you how much prep I did for this episode. I did not read this. All right, up next we have Admiral Coburn. We'll try to fly through some of these. While a friendly ship, this is for the Republic for 25 points. While a friendly ship at distance 1 to 2 of an enemy ship or obstacle is executing a maneuver before the determined course step, it may change each of its like -0 yaw values to 1 until the end of that maneuver. That is pretty neat. That takes specific ships like the Architans for one that has 2 negatives at 1 and 2 for speed 3, or the Acclimator, and makes them actual viable ships. It really, to me, is painful that you have to pay 25 points to make a ship do what you want it to do, in terms of maneuverability. So, like, I like this guy. I think he could be very popular for the Republic, but at 25 points, it seems like a premium that I'd rather just take other ships for, or just take things that don't need to maneuver that well, like Artisans. But yeah, Bodie, what do you think about Admiral Coburn?
I'm pretty excited for him as well. I mean, like you said, the Architons and the Acclimator do not have the greatest nav charts, and I don't know. The Swift Return title for the Consular is really fun. Like you can do some silly maneuvers when you're just hanging out by a rock, and I like that Coburn kind of lets you do that with all your ships. Um, I A plus for me. I don't really have any notes.
Mr. Honey Badger, what do you think about Mr. Coburn?
Yeah, I don't like him. I mean, I'm not gonna mince words here. It He's too expensive. Um, his his ability is way too situational. Um, it doesn't work with all ships. It doesn't work at all speed values. Like this guy doesn't do anything for Peltas at all, because they don't have any zero yaws on their nav chart. He only works on Venators at speed 3, and you have to be, at distance with an obstacle or an enemy ship. It's way too much. It's way too many situations, and just to get one, maybe two extra clicks of yaw. Um, I don't know. You're only going to get two extra clicks of yaw on an acclimator. You're not going to get it on a Venator, or I guess you could get it on a Venator at speed 3. But yeah, I mean, I maybe it's just the nav charts that's kept me. I don't like speed 3 Venators, but um, yeah, it only works on chargers or consulars or whatever at speed 4, and it's just one click. Um, it's just I don't know. I wish it would have just been like, even if they would have said, or you can change one yaw value of 1 to a 2. That would have been good. Or that, and take away the distance 1 to 2 of a ship or obstacle. Because not only is he not that good for a faction that really needs someone to be good at naving, his opportunity cost is way too high. You're going to take him instead of Bale. You're going to take him instead of a squad commander if you want to play squads. Like, you're going to take him instead of Anakin if you're going to play MSU or whatever else. I I don't know. I think it was a huge miss, unfortunately, but maybe he'll get buffed.
If I had to say there would be a change between these two, I definitely think that could get changed. So next we're going to go into the ships that have been released for Wave 1. The first is CIS Pinnacle Class Corsair or Corvette. This is a small base ship that comes in at 40 or 43 points. The Corsair, I guess I should say that they're both Command 1 squadron, and have 2 engineering. For shields, they have 2 in the front, 2 on either side, and 1 in the back. Token suite is 1 evade, 1 redirect, and 1 salvo. So if you thought that, what's it called? I don't know. This is like, reminds me of a Hammerhead suite, but without the contain. Yeah, for maneuvering, it's pretty maneuverable. Speed 1, it has 2 clicks. At speed 2, it has 2 clicks and then 0 clicks. At speed 3, it has 0, 2 clicks, and 1 click. And then at speed 4, it has 0, 2, 0, and 1 at the end. So fairly maneuverable with the the 2 clicks on all these positions. It means you can take a hard turn at the start, but your nose won't turn around as much. But with a nav dial on a small base ship, that's probably going to be fixed for just fine. So a fairly good flanker. They have 4 hull, and then for dice, they have 2 in the front and 2 in the rear, which is a bit out of the ordinary for a small base ship. I'll be honest, because typically they have 1 in the rear, unless I guess the Architect does too. And then in the side, they have 3 dice. The Corsair is a bit more of a torpedo boat with a rocket attachment or torpedo attachment, and then one black dice in all quadrants for shooting, and then the rest are all blue dice. Its flak is one black, and it on for upgrades it has the officer slot, which is normal, the defensive retrofit, which could do a lot of work for this little guy, and then the rockets position. In the Corvette version, it is a little bit more of a flak boat with two blue dice, and then it has all blue dice all around, except for one red die in the front and one blue. So a fairly good medium range broadside ship for small. For upgrades, it has the officer slot, an ion slot, and a turbo laser slot. So quite a suite for just 3 options. I think both of these have like a lot of variability and potential. So I kind of like these two. They're pretty like unique, I would say. I haven't seen a ship that's built like this, but I'm kind of excited to see what it can do. So Bodhi, tell me what you think about the Pinnacle class.
All right. I saw this ship and I fell in love. And I've only played them once. It was a couple of days ago. I just wanted to jam as many as I could into a fleet, and so I did a Kraken list with Providence and five Corvettes. Also, they're pronounced Pinnace. There's no the C looks like an L. Like I thought that it was Pinnacle as well for the longest time, but it's Pinnace. Um, but man, these ships are wacky. The maneuver chart is so weird. I flew them at speed 2 for most of the game, and like the way that their arcs line up with that double ticket 2, it puts you in some very interesting decision points. Um, Speaking of the arcs, like if you haven't seen it, it's like the Architans, but with an even more narrow front. So you can literally just be like nose to nose with someone and have both your side arcs, and it's not even trouble. Like you can do that with other ships like the Nebulon, but it's literally not even an issue for this ship. Like more than, well, I'd say about half of its front arc, like the front of its cardboard, is taken up by side arcs. I think
Like the
that,
Muni, but on a small base.
yeah, I think it's even a more narrow front than the Muni.
Yeah, I think so too.
Um, but I haven't tried out the Corsairs yet. I'm pretty excited to mess around with just like them with a copy of X-Rax maybe. I really liked the Corvettes with Kraken because I could just fly them completely naked and not have to worry about upgrades or anything. Um, and then any ship with double blue flak just has a place in my heart because I'm a big fan of having like support ships to help you in the squad war, and double blue, like the range and the average damage that you get from it, is usually my favorite combination. The defense token suite is pretty weird. I would not expect these guys to live for very long, especially if you're trying to get into like actually do stuff with them. But the salvo is really interesting. Like you mentioned, Josh, the double blue in the back. Um, like, I mean, I had Kraken and Intensify Firepower, and so I never really had to worry. Like, it was 3 damage with the side shots, and it was 2 damage with the salvo. And, like, that was pretty overpowering. But then, like, also they just get one shot. So it's like, I don't know, they feel really fun. I've got 2 on my desk that are ready to be painted, and I think I'm gonna be building a total of 4. Sorry, a total of 6, just to have them an army ready to go. So I'm super excited.
All right, dude, tell me what you got.
Yeah, they're cool. They bring something to the faction that they didn't have. I'm terrible with small ships, with MSU, with double arcing, so I am not going to be a very good person to judge these ships. But I've played against them a few times, and they're kind of a roll of the dice. They can hit extremely hard, especially in a swarm because you can't take them all out. But they can also go down very, very quickly. And if you can get all those guns on target in the same round, um, you're basically flying them in like World War II bomber style. You know you're going to lose some, but are the payloads that you're going to get on target going to be worth it? Um, so yeah, they're cool. And the double clicks not at the last joint allow for some inside turns, some wacky stuff. So I like them.
All right, cool. Let's see. Up next is the Architans, assault cruiser or escort cruiser. So these look, uh, as you would imagine, similar to the Imperial Architans. Um, for flak on both ships, they have a blue black, which is significantly better than the flak on the Imperial ships. And then for the token suite, instead of having the contain, they switch one to a salvo, and then one of the redirects becomes an evade. So this ship becomes an even better long range uh, sniper, I guess. It's sniper's not really the right word because it's not really doing all that much damage. They lose one of the red dice in the side for either a black or a blue, and then they gain the. I guess I should also note the black dice variant has two black in the front, so you could get external or not external racks, expanded armament, and have four dice in the front, which would be kind of insane. Um, let's see, and then the red dice variant has two reds in the front. Either otherwise they look kind of the same as the older variants. Shields are the same. The point costs relatively similar, 48, 54 points. Another change here is the black dice variant gets an offensive retrofit, a weapons team, and the munitions upgrade. So you could build this out to be a boarding trooper black dice delivery vehicle. Super exciting for the Republic, who otherwise would have had to take a much larger ship to do that. So I'm kind of excited about that. On the other variant, you get the support team, which the Architans already had, but they get two, excuse me, turbo laser upgrade slots, which has a lot of potential. Yeah, you can beef them up a lot. So you could do like expanded armament and then slave turrets to get uh, 5+1 confired dial. So six dice out the side of an Arkansas, which would be pretty cool. Their nav tricks the same. Excuse me. They also have the keywords clone and Jedi, which I need to point out. Um, the previous ship, the Pinnace, has comms and Geonosian. So I don't know what those are going to be used for later. Probably for, I don't know, if I were to had to guess, I'd say a campaign. Hopefully, we'll see. Bodhi, what do you think about this new Architans build?
Preface this with the fact that the Architans, as they exist in the game currently, are my least favorite ship in the game. I've tried them so many times, and I just have not been able to get them to work for me. Um, Part of that is the nav chart. Part of that is the defense token suite. Part of that is just the fact that I'm really stubborn, and so when I try and fly them, I try and like do multiple at a time. I very rarely will just do like one as like a support long range ship. I'll bring like four or three or four, and uh, just try and get in there with the damage. Um, I think that the Republic version here has a couple of upsides over the Imperial version. I think most of that lies in the fact that the defense token suite is actually good. Um, I do think that, especially with like some of the other tools that Republic has, like Zac, to get another die out the side, and one of the titles, like we'll talk about here shortly, the escort cruiser could be a pretty interesting long range brawler. But the big thing for me is the C-70s are an incredible ship. They don't have the double evade, but like they go speed 4 and they've got a very fun maneuver chart, and they've got the same like 2 and 2 red dice that the escort cruiser does, and they're 42 points. And I'm a bit worried that the Architans are going to get crowded out just by having. It's like if there was an Architans in the Rebels, no one would fly it because there's a CR90 in the faction. And it's kind of a similar thing here. The C-70 isn't as. It's not as colloquially known as being powerful as the CR90, but it's starting to gain some traction in competitive circles, and I've always been a big fan. Um, so I don't know. I'm definitely gonna try and put it on the table. I like the upgrade suites that these have a bit more than the ARC version that we talked about in one of our other podcasts. Um, so I don't know. I'm like tentative. It's weird. I don't like Architects.
Honey Badger, do you have more favorable things to say about the Architects?
I mean, I'm glad Gar got another ship. I'm glad Gar got a. Okay, let me preface by saying I don't think double tokens should exist in the game. I don't. I don't like them for any ships, especially the MC-30. But I'll digress. I'm glad someone finally gave our double tokens because everybody was scared of Lumi for whatever reason since she just dominates the global meta year after year. Without going into too much of the developer decisions behind these ships, I do wish they would have given the escort a red die flag instead of blue black. I think that would have elevated it to more interesting. I don't really. I don't know. I'm probably not going to fly the assault carrier, just because it's a. I guess it's supposed to be a boarding trooper boat when you look at the title that they gave with it. Also, it just. I think it just lacks in, some areas. I might fly the escort, but I don't know. Like, what are you gonna XI7s and TRCs? It would have been great if they gave it bombard and a red flag. Then TRCs and LTTs all day long. You could do like engine techs, but I think 8-point engine techs is probably too expensive for a 54-point ship. So I think they gave it the support slot for either projection experts or FCTs for like if this is supposed to replace a Pelta in like a quad Pelta list. But honestly, I kind of think the Architans, just is better. As a gunboat, you've got the double weapons teams and double officers. I don't like that they didn't give it a turbo laser slot, but you can stack like Zac, clone nav officer, clone gunners, and either vet gunners or gunnery team on the Architans, and it's a pretty stacked ship, especially if you include like Thunder Wasp, the legacy title. So I think I've played with the escort. I think it was okay. I think probably the light cruiser from Arc is the best Gar Architons.
And that's okay. You know, it means they weren't copying each other's homework. Also, you have something to look forward to for Worlds. So there you go. Uh, so we're gonna go through the titles now that are coming out for these ships. Up first, forgive my pronunciation. I'm probably not going to offend anybody because nobody speaks this language, but Petronaki, that's not that bad. While defending, this is for the pinnace. It is 2 points. While defending, if the attack is obstructed, which couples with Poggle that we just talked about, you may choose for the attacker to not remove a die from the attack pool. If you do, after the attack dice are rolled, you may choose and cancel one die in the attack pool. So that could be pretty strong. That means that not only do you get to choose the color of dice, you could choose a double dice, or I think, given the wording of this, I think you could take away an accuracy too, because it's directly after they're rolled, but before they're assigned or spent. What do you think about this, Bodie?
You are in fact correct. You can take away an accuracy, which I think is basically the main redeeming factor of this card. Um, it does have some interesting synergy with Poggle, but I think that Poggle is kind of strong without needing this. I'm really not sure. I think that the next title that we'll talk about, I can give my reasoning then, but there's really not a whole lot of reasons that I can think to spend the points on this card.
Drew, do you like this card?
I think it's fine. I I don't know if it's gonna necessarily give you much more survivability. Maybe probably at long range, because you can cancel something and also use your evade if they don't have an accuracy. So you could potentially cancel like two doubles. Only 2 points, so you might slap it on there to mess around with some things, but yeah, I'm not sure. The only thing I can think of is if, well, if it's already obstructed, because you could cancel if they're only shooting you with one die, then you can cancel it to cancel the attack, so they couldn't add another die in, but it'd already be obstructed, so the attack would already be canceled anyway. So, I guess the only question I would have is how does this work with Ramadi? Because it says you may choose for the attacker not to remove a die from the attack pool. So do you make this choice before he chooses to use Ramadi? Because the thing isn't removed anyways, and so you basically get to cancel his Ramadi die afterward. Um, that's an interesting FAQ question, but kind of too much in the weeds. Um, yeah, it's a fine title.
All right, up next is Cocklevex, which is 3 points, kind of steep for what it gives you, but it gives you the option to have an offensive retrofit in your upgrade bar. I'm not actually entirely certain what they're thinking you're going to be adding to the ship that has a squad value of 1 and no other option to improve squad value. So maybe this is for counter 1. I don't know. Against
Decaps.
squads. Decaps? Okay, that's fair. With the blue dice variant. That makes sense.
With either of them, really, but
So that's 6 points to do a decaps one time. Okay. Just briefly, Bodie, are you a yay or nay on this guy?
Oh yeah. So Drew mentioned in the original discussion about the pinnace that like they're great when you have a lot of them because you can't catch everybody. Koklevex is the reason to take a single one, in my opinion. And you've already mentioned disposable capacitors. The other reason is B2 rocket droids. I'm like super excited for this card.
All right, Drew, yay or nay?
yeah, I didn't even think about B2s, but yeah, absolutely. Um, if you can do the Cock Live X decaps to make your hit at longer range, sounds like a good recipe for a prescription to me.
Okay, Vizgura is up next, a third title for this ship. When a friendly ship at distance 1 to 5 would discard a fleet command upgrade card, you may discard this card instead for 2 points. This seems pretty nice, pretty nice. That means you don't need to spend an extra command token for this, and the intensify firepower that you're using or whatever other card gets to stay around for another round. So that's pretty cool. Yeah or nay, Bodhi?
It's either a free command token or it's two uses out of something that you brought in with the flag bridge.
Flag bridge.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of the key takeaway because if you're bringing a Providence with a fleet command slot, like you're gonna have Runehawk out there, you're gonna be able to fuel intensify every turn. But what this lets you do is stick flag bridge on your Patriot Fist, and now you get 2 turns of intensify firepower, which I think is huge because now you can skip on the Providence in your fleet and still get that effect.
It does mean that you get a potential, like however many X number of ships you have, it means you get X number of like attacks, like, 2 of them, assuming you get double arcs, and then 2x number of dice, right, that are hits. So it's like guaranteeing a bunch of damage, which, I mean, there's other uses as well, but that just seems really strong. Uh, Drew, yay or nay on this guy?
Yeah, Bodhi nailed it. I think the double use out of flag bridge is probably the most valuable use. Because I think it's too easy to make sure you have the token generation, and maybe this is a backup if you're flying intensify firepower and you want to use the Confire token for a reroll. It allows you that flexibility. You can get a round of reroll or one die reroll with your Confire token and still keep your IF, but definitely boosting flag bridge is you get double the use out of it, so that's pretty cool.
All right, up next is the titles for the Architects. There are 3 as well. The first is Thunder Wasp for 3 points. It is triggered by a concentrate fire command. When you add a die, or when you would add a die from the concentrate fire dial effect to the attack pool, that die may be of any color. So, pretty strong. That means that when you have the black dice variant with the munitions, you could theoretically add in a die that's black for a long range attack and do APTs at long range or something like that. Super cool. 3 points seems worth it. What do you think, Bodhi?
I think that this is kind of the banger of the Architects titles. I mean, throwing black dice at long range is super cool. So,
All right. Yay or nay, Mr. Honey Badger?
This is my hot take for the episode. This is the best card in Legacy Wave 1. I love it. I love the effect. 3 points is kind of steep, but whatever. That's fine. It works well with like on Captain Zach. So you can do 2 black dice at long range. Yeah, I'm a fan.
All right, up next is Stellar Rise for 2 points. Your printed squadron value is treated as 3. You cannot spend squadron dials to resolve the squadron command. What is this for, and why is this here? This probably is supposed to join with the Architects assault cruiser and then make your boarding trooper value 3 instead of just 1. So, sorry, microphone's falling.
This is why we can't charge for the podcast.
There's probably a lot of reasons. But yeah, so I don't know where I cut off. My cord fell out of my mic. Your printed squadron value is treated as 3. So flipping 3 tokens instead of 1 seems pretty nice for 2 points. So I like it. Bodhi, what do you think about this guy?
I think that what this is trying to do is be like an FCT thing, and you can replace one of your Peltas in quad, but that seems bad because Peltas are really good and Architons are not as good. So I don't know. I think that eh, uh, I might pass on this one, to be honest.
Okay. Drew, do you like it?
I don't know why it needs the you can't spin squad dials to resolve squad commands caveat. Um, sure, Gar, the only thing good in Gar is Gar 134, and we don't want to boost that. Yada yada, I've heard it all. But if this is 2 extra points, it's unique. But let's say that second sentence didn't exist, and 2 extra points to get 1 extra squad with FCT because the Architect's escort already has 2 squads. It's the only one that can FCT because it's the only one with the support team, and it doesn't have an offensive retrofit, so it can't take expanded hangar bays. So, I mean, whoop-de-doo. And with the Architect's assault, okay, you can use this title. You can do, I mean, you could probably do some crazy things, but I don't know. I wish it didn't have that second sentence. I know that kind of pigeonholes it into only being able to do one thing. I mean, just make it say whenever you discard boarding troopers, you can discard 2 extra, or you can target 2 extra tokens. Like that would basically not change this card at all, and it would just show you what it's used for. And that, as a title, kind of sounds like it sucks. So I'm not too thrilled about this title.
I think it's okay. I think that for boarding troopers, it's really nice to be able to speed in, flip tokens, and speed out. But the other thing I really like about things like this is finisher ships. So if you are playing a list where you're letting stuff like you're using attrition to kill ships, when this one comes in with black dice at close range and then shoots, or excuse me, it would be at the end of the turn. End of turn 5, hypothetically, you land next to this guy, and then you do engineering teams actually, and not the boarding troopers. Then you can flip over damage cards and secure kills, and do more black dice. Not great, not everybody's favorite choice to do for a ship, but I like that playstyle. All right, last for this guy, we've got the Surrogator. No, yeah, that's right, Surrogator. Interesting. 2 points. Squadron command activates this and says, while a friendly squadron you activate is attacking, if it is a distance 1 of a friendly squadron with the printed assault keyword, it may reroll 1 die. Pretty nice. That means that the escort cheap V19s with their black dice can reroll. I mean, that's pretty good. But then also, it becomes like a close quarters bomber command center. Pretty nice. I guess it's attacking either ships or squadrons too. So that's pretty cool. if for some reason your Jedi don't adapt into a nice hit, or an accuracy, then you can reroll it again. Bodhi, do you like this card?
Yeah, I am really not 100% sure yet. I'm kind of excited to try it with the 5/7 guy, the from Wave Zero, but I have not had a chance to put it on the table yet, so I will report back on that.
Drew, tell me what you think about this guy.
I think it's fine. I think it's whatever. It's the only printed assault keyword they have are
It's
in the
lats.
in the that Legacy also released, and so Um, I just it's like everything that Gar gets has to have the stars align for you to be able to use it. It only works on squads you activate. They have to be at distance 1 of a friendly squad with assault just to reroll 1 die. I mean, it, in a week. Just having to keep track of all that and make sure that you do get the it's kind of like, all right, I'm going to use this ability, and by the time I remember to make sure that I have all of these things in place, I'll forget to use this ability. Like, okay, I move my squad at distance 1 of the guy with assault, and it's on this activation with this ship, and I need to reroll. Oh, okay, yes, I can finally reroll. But I mean, most of the time you're just gonna be like, oh shoot, I should have moved him, an inch over this way, so he'd have been at distance 1, so I could have rerolled. So yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. Not everything has to be stellar. Titles especially can have their niche cases.
Not everything can be stellar, right? Yeah.
We've got a fan over here.
No, I think Stellar Rise the worst of the three.
All right, moving on.
Thunder
We've
Wasp
got
is where it's at.
noted. Moving on, we've got the battle cruiser for the Empire that goes on the Interdictor. I'm excited about this card. It says combat refit only. You gain 1 turbo laser icon in your upgrade bar. After you deploy, you may replace one of your defense tokens with a salvo defense token for 2 points. I think this is stellar. I think this is like kind of what the battlecruiser needed for, I don't know, years since it was released. It's always been I don't know, it's never been taken. I've seen it on the board maybe 2 times total. But yeah, I think this fixes it. What do you think, Bodhi?
Yeah, I'm excited to mess around with it. I've never taken the combat interdictor. One of my 2 interdictors I bought used, and the person who had it before me, like, they broke the little nub at the bottom of the like archy plastic bit that connects the base to the ship, and so they glued it in, and it's permanently on the combat refit side. And so I've always had to explain to my opponents, like, I promise it's not a combat refit. But now maybe I will have a reason to actually take said combat refit.
Drew, are you going to be taking battle cruisers now?
Look, this is the way a card should work. Like, this is really, for one, it's not unique. So you can do this to all of your combat refits if you want to spam them. And it's got 2 benefits, and it only costs 2 points, and there's no drawback, and it only works under these conditions only if you equip a unique officer and, XI7s or whatever. Like, it just works. You gain a turbo laser, and you get to switch out a contain, which is the worst defense token in the game by far, for a salvo, which is actually very useful. Like, whoever designed this, please make some shit for Gar. This is the kind of stuff that Gar needs. Stuff that just works, that just helps you.
All right, I think we've got some fans. Up next, we have the Nautilin. It is a title for the MC-80 Home 1 variant ship for the Rebels. It refreshes every round, and the text reads, flagship only, command cruiser only, gain 1 fleet upgrade icon to your upgrade bar. Sorely needed. I think everyone's been talking about that for the command variant. It also reads, when a friendly ship is choosing another copy of its non-unique title card to upgrade to exhaust, it may treat this card as if it were a copy of its non-unique title card upgrade. When you activate, you may ready this card. So what does this do? Essentially what this is doing is becoming uh, what is it? The MC-80 Exodus fleet, or just MC Exodus fleet. Uh, so you can trigger it by having just one instead of having two ships with that. Is that it? Is there anything else I'm missing? I feel like I'm totally missing something.
It's the task forces.
Hammerhead,
Tax Force.
Antilles, Regana.
Oh, you're
So what you
right.
can do is you can use Task Force Antilles with all your hammerheads, um, to spread the damage around, and then now you've got Intensify, and that's probably a pretty decent hammerhead swarm.
Okay, for the ability to ready this card during the turn and then soak up another damage, like 2 damage per
Mhm.
turn, that's actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got hammerheads out there. And then you can take shields to maximum and push shields also. So meh. Maybe they'll be functional now. What do you guys think about it though? Bodhi, do you like it?
It's a thumbs up for me. Excited to try it.
Drew, give me your best take on this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's another card that just works. Like, sure, it's flagship only, but for 4 points, you gain a fleet command on your flagship, and you don't have to take flag bridge, which is just a one-time use. Uh, yeah, absolutely. And then you also have the other benefit that boosts, a variety of fleets. You can do the Mon Calamari Exodus fleets or the task force. You can, build some weird stuff. So, I like it.
All right, cool. Up next, we have for the Republic a 7-point title that is refreshing every round, and it goes on the Victory Star Destroyer. The name is Arleon, I think, and it's triggered by a crit. So it is a critical effect on an attack. You may exhaust this card. If you do, the defender suffers 1 damage. This occurs once for each of your exhausted defense tokens. You can resolve this critical effect during a salvo attack. You cannot resolve this critical effect during an ignition attack. So that means you're going to be kind of the punching bag somewhere in the front of the fleet, and then you're trying to deal as much damage as you can, and then this ability allows you to deal an extra damage possibly each turn. Uh, Once for each of your exhausted, so it could be theoretically up to 3 per turn, but likely it's going to end up being like 1 or 2 damage a turn, which may add up, but for 7 points, I am not convinced. Bodhi, what do you think about this guy?
This maybe in like the top 5 things that I'm excited for in this wave. I think that the ability to resolve it during a salvo attack is pretty cool. I do agree that the fact that it's exhaust and it costs 7 points is a little bit of a tax to pay, especially on the fact that you can't resolve it during an ignition attack, and stats are kind of like the reason to take a victory in this faction. Um, However, I do think that the effect is quite powerful. If you can engineer it in a way to, specifically because you can resolve it during a salvo, um, you can spend all 3 of your defense tokens and then, have a salvo that does like about 5 damage. Um, I think that that's pretty cool. So I definitely want to try it out, but I wish that it was a little bit cheaper.
All right, Drew, what do you think about this card?
Uh, it's way too expensive. I mean, like, I love the idea. Whoever designed this card, great job. Uh, good kind of new novel concept. Way, way, way too expensive. And it kind of works against itself because it's a crit effect. So like, think about the Republic victories. They have double ordnance slot. They already got black die crit effect. They have no turbo laser slot. So you have no dice fixing for your red dice. Uh, so I mean, what do? You just sit there and wait for you so you can defense tokens and then not activate. So then you can attack and then maybe get this off, but not very likely. And then on your salvo, you've got two reds. It's, I mean, I'll have an extra shot at rolling a crit. And then if you and it's exhaust, so you use it all up on, or you uh, exhaust all your tokens trying to get a crit on a salvo, and you don't, and then you're just kind of okay now because you're going to make me discard my tokens to stay alive. Now this card doesn't work because it's only exhausted tokens, and if I have discarded my tokens, then I don't get any benefit from this card. Or you're going to shoot something and maybe I don't know. It's just great idea. This needed a drawing board, and it's way too expensive. Make it not an exhaust. Make it work with ignition. Make it 2 points. Um, yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Up next, we have Intrepid for the Republic as well, I think. Nope, that's an Empire. 4 points. This is going on the. Man, I'm blanking.
Venator.
Venator Star Destroyer. Jeez. All right. After you deploy, gain one contained defense token. While a friendly squadron with no defense tokens at distance 1 to 2 suffers a damage, you may spend one contained defense token. If you do, it may reduce the damage by 1. So this is kind of cool. It's kind of a carrier that is going to prevent things from dying. So you could hypothetically like save a TIE fighter on 1 health and then just make it annoying for the next round. Something they have to kill. It also means that your ship is going to be likely protected from enemy squadrons and bombers. So, if you were to build it that way. Interesting. If I were to build something like this, it would be something where the fighters actually are not like activated, and instead this would be probably like a boarding trooper, Star Destroyer. I don't know if that's possible. I don't remember the upgrade suite, but let the fighters do their thing just by surviving. Anyway, Bodhi, do you like this card? Yeah or nay?
Yeah, so this might be my pick for the strongest individual card in the wave. I think that there's some really cool synergies that you can do with it. It's not as strong as an Empire's version of Gallant Haven, but it comes close, and mainly that's because of the fact that you can reduce the damage to 0. You can only do that like reliably twice, and then like if you want to start using up defense tokens a couple more times. Um, but it also doesn't limit you to like it being during an attack. And the Venator is a really good flak boat. It's got bombard, so you can do LTT. You can take ruthless strategist. You can take ordnance pods, and also have ordnance experts for like a reroll on your black flak. And if you ruthless and like deal a damage to one of your squadrons, you can use Intrepid to remove like to cancel that damage. So you can now basically just like ruthless twice, like for free for no damage to your squadrons. And if you do that on an initial turn and start wiping out their squadrons, you can even just burn out one of your contains or whatever, protect your squadrons so that they don't get flacked down later or countered or whatever. I think that this does a lot to help you win the squad war in a very unique way. The Venator before was a pretty niche ship. It didn't really fill any roles, but I think that this title gives it a lot of legs.
All right, Drew, what do you think about Intrepid?
Yeah, I like it. But he said everything I was going to say, mostly pointing out that it isn't just attacks. So you can use this to defend fighters against like Adepticon with his splash, against enemy ruthless strategist, against your own ruthless strategist. The Allers EIS guy that, does ping damage.
Flat car frog.
Sure. Your word for it. But um yeah, I think it's a cool title. It's you know, 'cause- especially since the only other option is Seventh Fleet Star Destroyer for this, it doesn't have an opportunity cost. So it's just an extra option and it just works. It got a steady benefit, it's got an additional benefit, it's got something you control, it's not situational, I guess, distance 1 2. But that's pretty um
Even more lenient than a Galentine.
yeah. So I like it. I like it a lot. Good job.
All right. Up next, we have Rebel 1, which is a title for the Providence for the Rebel variant. 6 points, it refreshes every round and says, while defending, you may discard one of your weapons teams or support team upgrade cards and exhaust this card to spend a defense token that is targeted with an accuracy icon. So it is a built-in ECM for 6 points. While attacking, you may discard this card. If you do, you may add 1 die for each of your discarded weapons or support team upgrades. Each die must be of a different color. So that means you could add in up to 3 dice because there's only 3 colors. Pretty strong. 6 points. That's pretty strong. It also means you don't necessarily need to have Kirsta stapled to this ship anymore. So I think this is pretty cool. Very strong. Very strong. I like it though. I might fly it without Kirsta and start doing something else. Bodhi, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't really have anything like super new or impactful to say. I just kind of want to put it on the table. It's really weird, really fun.
Drew, what do you got?
Yeah, it's a lot of text, but I like it. It's pretty cool.
I think it's going to be pretty effective. Up finally, we have the Insatiable, that is a CIS title for the Sea Rock. Also, basically the Gazanti for the CIS. It is 3 points. It is activated by a squadron command and says, when a squadron you activate uses AI battery, you may suffer 1 damage. If you do, one of the dice it adds may be of any color. And it is also unique. I should note all of these are unique. I don't think I mentioned that. So the Sea Rocks are kind of cool to be squadron pushers with their upgrade suite anyway. But pretty nice. You can change like a red to a black, and or a red to a blue if you're looking for an accuracy. So pretty cool. 3 points. What do you think, Bodhi? Would you take this card?
No, I've thought about it quite a bit, and I really haven't come up with much of a use for it. Like the best that I can think of is turning a red into a black for your hyenas to make them a little bit better. But they're just the thing about the CIS squadrons is that the aces are trash for the most part, and you get the most value out of just spamming a bunch of vulture droids and hyena bombers. And so the thing about this is that it adds 3 points to the overall cost of your fleet, and it's limited use because you're slowly killing yourself, and it doesn't really do much to contribute to the fact that the vulture droids are like the most efficient anti-squadron price for damage output in the game, and the hyenas are one of the most efficient, uh, like anti-ship price per damage in the entire game. And so you can slightly improve your odds, but like I don't know, it's not worth the damage that you're doing to your flotilla, in my opinion.
All right, Drew, wrap this up for us. Would you take this card?
Yeah, I think so. I think there are some situations, some fleets that this card could be useful. The point to, but I think what Bodhi said is all spot on. I agree with everything he said. My counterpoint would be that flotillas don't have a redirect, and so you can use this twice on your rear and your side field to get a black die out of your hyena, which this is more like an ace in the hole type card. It's not super useful. It's not super flexible. This is all right. I've won the squad war. Now I need to help my squads deal damage to the ship. I need to help my hyena take down these ships.
All
If
right.
that's the case, it could end up being.
You are a little quiet. Are you, Bodhi? Are you also hearing that, or is
Yeah,
that just
kind of
me?
cutting out a bit.
Okay.
I'm not
Can
going to
you?
repeat myself. My listeners can just
Okay,
piece together what. No, I'm just kidding. Is that better?
that's much better. Yep.
All right. I just need to get closer to the mic. Yeah, I agree with. Or so just take it from the top. You're gonna edit all that other stuff out.
We're just gonna roll. Keep going. This is gonna be a quick cut podcast.
I agree with everything Buddy said. With it's not very useful. It's not very flexible. It's not very efficient. I think it's more of like an ace in the hole kind of card. If you need to run someone down with a hyena, you need some extra damage. 1 or 2 damage at the end of the game. Ship surviving on one hull. This guy can hopefully do it for you. Also, damage might not be super consequential because Zantes or flotillas don't have redirects, so you can take like 1 damage on your rear and then 1 damage on your far side, and that hopefully does 2 extra damage against another ship. That's going to be a lot more expensive than flotilla. I think it's a fun card. I think it could be a little bit of a win more card. Like I'm just going to stack damage on my flotilla to take down what I was already killing, but yeah, not super good, but fun.
All right, that wraps up our takes for the Wave 1 release for Legacy Armada. Again, this is not the official Armada, so this will not be this will not be played at Worlds. But at Worlds, you could have the chance to go. That's what our announcement is about. So I had bought a ticket because I thought I was planning on going, but my plans changed. I'm not able to make it, so I'm going to be giving away this ticket. It includes the badge and the entry into the Armada main tournament, as well as the Squadrons like special side event. So if you are interested in becoming or going to Worlds this year in 2026, what you can do to enter to win is subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then instead of doing elevations for our episode here, what we thought, Bodhi came up with this. We would allow you guys to have entries into the giveaway by doing an elevation of your own in the comments below this video. So if you're listening on Spotify, go ahead and find your way over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, and then below the video, comment an elevation for Star Wars Armada. This could be legacy content or art content, and Star Wars in general, and Armada in general. And yeah, an elevation to Star Wars Armada, something that you would like to see more play. What would you do to fix it? This could be an upgrade card, a ship, a squadron or an objective or like new obstacles or something like that. So, yeah, spice it up. Let us know what you would add to Armada in order to make it more fun, more enjoyable, or more competitive. So, with that, I think we'll sign off, and I look forward to reading what you guys have for submissions. Um, feel free to spread the word. The drawing will be completely random, so everyone has a fair shot. Yeah, thanks for listening, and next time we'll be talking about Worlds that's coming up. So, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Keep playing Armada. You guys can say goodbye if you want.
If you want.
That's all for now.
I don't. Okay. Bye bye, guys.